right, good morning. How are you this morning? Everybody doing well? You're here. You made it. Welcome to 2020. Hey, was that some great worship right there? Wow. I was like, I don't even want to preach. I just want to keep singing. That was good. Hey, I want you to do me a favor. That was you had a high schooler leading you on the drums this morning. That was Jake Valois back there. Wow. Love that. They're the church of today. You see him back there, his hand raised up. Boy, is worshiping back there. My gosh. Okay, so Jake, man, we love you. Thanks for leading us this morning. If you're not serving somewhere, you should be, because we've got high schoolers up here. Yeah, serving us, showing up on Tuesdays, practicing so they can rock out with you on Sunday morning. Anyways, go serve somebody. So it's 2020. Welcome. If you don't know me, my name is Matt. I'm one of the pastors here on staff. It's good to be with you. And we've got some things to celebrate. I have a few things I want us to celebrate together as a church. First of all, our Christmas Eve services here at the Frederick campus were wonderful. And if you were here, thanks so much for being a part of those. I want to give you just a quick update between both of our campuses. We had over 5,300 adults that came to one of our services, which is great. Now, and that's just a number, but here's the thing. Every single number there represents a person. And what I love about Christmas Eve services, especially if you're here, you would know this. We have so many guests who come to a service that normally wouldn't be at a service. And I just want to tell you, just so many incredible stories. I wish I could share them all, of people that maybe for the first time or the first time in a long time re-engaged with the Father. And it's just the beauty of Christmas Eve service. One of my favorite moments was after one of our services. There's a gentleman who came up to me, and very well maybe in this service, and he said, I haven't been to church since 1988. 1988. And he goes, I'll be back next week. Walked right out. Isn't that cool? Like, dang. Gets me choked up. So thanks for investing and inviting. Thanks for showing up, being here, for everybody who served. It was a great Christmas Eve. Also, I want to celebrate. If you were here last Sunday, I had the Sunday off. Actually, first service, I went up and served with your kids in elementary, because I haven't done that in a while. And wow, we need to pray for them, okay? And hung out with some first graders. And it's been a while since I was doing children's ministry, but I had a great time. And then second service, I came in here with my girls, and I just enjoyed, was just really served through our worship team. And then Ron Leach got up here. And if you were here last week, can you give Ron Leach some love? Because he gave a message last week that I wasn't ready for. I just wasn't ready for it, and he was just so vulnerable. And if you were in service, you know there are some moments in that message. It was silent in here, wasn't it? I mean, it was so real. And so Ron's actually going to be here after first service. He'll probably be out in the lobby. And if you see him, can you go give him a hug, tell him thanks? Because that takes some guts to get up on stage and just share some things that are very personable. But I love it because it's real. And that's what we should be as the church. So Ron did a great job. And then, of course, the biggest thing we can celebrate, the Patriots lost last night. So it's great. Wow. Yeah. 2020 is off to a great start, okay? So when it gets a little rough somewhere along the way, you go, yeah, but the Patriots lost, didn't they? Yeah, they did, all right? So that'll keep you going for a little bit. Let me give you a couple of things on the calendar that are coming here over the next couple of weeks and months. The first one we'll let you know about, guys, this is for you. Next Sunday, right here at the Frederick campus, starting at 5 o'clock, we've got a men's event. We're going to be hosting David Bodie. Who is, he's a professional baseball player. He's with the Chicago Cubs. He's going to be here with us hanging out, and we would love to have you here. We're going to have a bunch of ballpark food for you. So we've got the hot dogs, the nachos, and all the stuff that comes along with that. We've got some fun things planned in the lobby as well. It's not too late to register and go on our website, click the events tab, and it's only $5. $5, that's it. You can be here and hang out and get to meet him. And we're going to be doing some interviews with him. He's a great guy. He loves Jesus and has got some incredible stories. So if you're a baseball guy like me, you want to be here and bring some friends and come and enjoy that. It's going to be awesome. And then also, if you are new to our church, maybe Christmas Eve was your first Sunday here, or maybe you've kind of been checking us out over the last couple of months. We've got an environment that we call Base Camp that's happening next Sunday as well. We do this just about once a month. This is an environment for you to come and hear more about our church. It's free to you. Again, you can register on our website. Free lunch, free childcare. We're not going to give you a sales pitch or try to make you buy anything, okay? We just want to give you some more information about our church, let you meet some of our staff, and ask any questions that you might have. And so if that's you, if you got some questions, you should come and hear. and ask your questions, and we're going to do our very best to answer those. So again, you can register for that on our website. And then just about a month from now, we're going to be hosting Night to Shine again, all right? And so this is a big party for our year. And if you don't know what Night to Shine is, this is essentially a prom or a party that we put on for people in our community with special needs. It's going to be happening February 7th. We literally use just about every square inch of this building, and so many volunteers are a part of that just to make it an incredible night, again, for our guests. And we've got a couple things I want to let you know about. One, we are still looking for about 40 buddies, and buddies are the dates for our guests. And so we match up every one of our guests. There's going to be about 180 of them that are going to show up that night. We give them a date for the night to be with them and to help them and to come in here and eat all the Chick-fil-A they can eat, and then go out into the lobby and then get their dance on. And so if you like Chick-fil-A and dancing and having fun, we've got a role for you to be a buddy. Now here's what we know. Oftentimes people are the most intimidated by this volunteer role, and I'm telling you, you have nothing to be intimidated about. In fact, what I've heard over the last 3 years is people who've jumped in to be a buddy for one of our guests, they go, I was so nervous to do this, and this was one of the best nights of my year, okay? And so we are looking for a couple of more buddies to jump in. You can go on our website, register. I'd love for us to fill up all of those spots. Along with that, we've been asking you over the last couple of weeks for some dresses because we put on a prom shop, a free place for our guests to come and to shop and to get dresses and suits and shoes and jewelry and all that stuff. And you guys have done a great job over the last couple of years just bringing in all of those things. And again, I just want to encourage you, especially ladies, do you have some dresses at home that aren't from 1984 like Ron talked about last week, that would just serve our guests really, really well? They have told me they are in need of some dresses that are larger sizes. And so again, if you've got dresses at home, bring them in. And it's going to just make a world of a difference for one of our guests to come in to find the right dress. And I'm telling you, I've been in that prom shop when our guests are coming in, and I'm bawling like a weird person in the corner because it's just amazing when you see just the joy in our guests' eyes and their faces as they come in, they find that perfect dress or suit. So bring those in. And last but not least, we are still looking for a couple of corporate sponsors that would like to join us. And so if you're a business owner or you work for a business that you think might like to become a sponsor for our Night to Shine event, we would love to have you. You can get a hold of me. I've got some more information I can give to you. But this is a free event for all of our guests. And the beauty is our community comes together and we're able to kind of split the tab or pay the bill for all of that. And so if you're looking to jump in and partner with us on a financial level, we would love to have you as well. And in light of jumping into 2020, I just want to share some news. This is personal for me. This is a fun day for me because 2019, one of the big narratives for my family was back in February of last year. My wife came to me and said, I've been thinking I might want to jump in and jump in with this fundraising opportunity with Missions of Hope, which is our partnership in Kenya. That's who we partner with when we take our global trips to Kenya. And every year they do a fundraiser to raise support for some initiative that is kind of on the forefront for them. And they go and they hike Kilimanjaro, which is the tallest mountain in Africa. They've been trying to get me to do this for the last 5 years. And every year I have told them, no, I'm not doing that because I can barely hike up a little hill, let alone 19,000 feet. And so last year my wife said, well, what if I go in your place? I said, go. Yeah, that's great. Go. You do it. And so they've been training. There's my wife and two other folks who are part of our Frederick campus. They've been training all of 2019. Two of that team flew out on Christmas Day. My wife flew out the day after Christmas. And so they've been over in Africa the last 2 weeks. The team, there's over 30 of them throughout all of the country. They all got there at the same time. And as a team, they raised over $165,000. Isn't that awesome? And one of the things they're going to be doing is they're going to be building some soccer fields over there in Kenya, right in the middle of the slums. It's going to be incredible because they've got over 16,000 kids in the slums, in these schools. And they said, you know what, we should start a sports program. And so that's what this team has been raising funds for. And so they've been hiking up Kilimanjaro the last 5 days, 19,000 feet. And I just got word, I don't know how she did it, but last night at 12:15, in the middle of the night, my wife was able to text me and said, I got to the top. Isn't that awesome? So she made it. And I'm just telling you, man, I love this church. I love this church. Over the last 2 weeks, you guys have served us so well. I was joking with some of the team this morning. I haven't even cooked one meal for my family because we've been invited over and you have been cooking meals for my girls and I. You've been dropping off meals. I mean, I have lived good the last 2 weeks, okay? And so it's been great. You have loved us. You have served our family so well. And going along with the message, even just a little bit, it's been a good break for me. But I did a couple of things I'm going to tell you right now. My wife doesn't know this, so don't text her because I don't know when she'll have cell phone service. She'll find out on Wednesday when she gets home. But when she left, I started thinking, man, I've got some more free time than normal, right? And so I decided to do something. Again, she doesn't know this, and there's just a couple people know this, but I decided to go out and to buy an Xbox. Yeah. She doesn't know it yet, okay? So I went out and bought an Xbox, and then I had to get some video games for the Xbox, and so, you know, I've been playing video games over the last 12 days. You're like, how's he doing? I've been doing great. I'm just playing my video games. And not only did I buy an Xbox, but because of the Xbox, it needs a 4K TV because it's so good. It's so good, you know, because you need to see it because it's hard to see the TV sometimes. And so I went ahead and bought a TV, okay? And so she don't know that yet, but she's going to find out. And so that's, you know, a little bit of what I've been doing over the last 2 weeks. You've been feeding me, and I've been playing video games and reading my Bible. And so I've been doing all that stuff. And so yesterday was like a great day. The girls and I, the girls got some gift cards from their grandma, and so we went shopping. In fact, saw some of you at Target, and so we were there shopping. It was a good day. Then the girls went home. They played with the gifts that they bought, and then we went to somebody's house last night for dinner who fed us so well. And then I'll be honest, I was getting home, and in my mind, you know, I was thinking about playing video games. And so I just want to get home. And as we were driving, I looked at the clock, and it was about 8 o'clock, and I knew from all the information that Vanessa had given me that the hardest part of their climb was going to be yesterday from 8 to midnight. And all of a sudden, something began to change in me a little bit. I began thinking about that more than the video games. When we pull into our driveway, we get into the garage, and I say to my girls, hey, before we go in, would anybody like to pray for Mom? I mean, we had a great day. It was so much fun and so many great things that we did. Hung out with some great people. But just this moment, I said, would you like to pray for your mom? And one of my girls said, well, I'd pray, but I'm going to start crying. And then one of our girls said, yeah, I'll pray. And I'm just telling you, of all the things that I've experienced over the last 2 weeks, and we've had a great break, and we've hung out with friends and family. It's been so good. But that moment, and I wish I would have recorded it to hear the voice of our girls praying for their mom, going, Mom, we believe that you can do it. We believe it. And it was just like the little presence. Something just changed in the moment. We got out of the car. Like, I couldn't do anything but just like, man, I'm just going to spend some time with God. I don't even care about video games right now. I just want to spend some time with God. It's just something just rearranged in my heart a little bit, and it changed. And all of a sudden, I just couldn't do anything but just focus on Him. Started thinking about this morning, and just everything changed. Went up to the room and put the headphones on, started listening to worship music, and started looking at my notes this morning. And here's what I want to talk about this morning. There are so many good things, and we live in abundance, and we have so many great things. But I want to talk about this morning, in light of 2020, jumping into the new year, and I want to ask you this question. What is the most important thing in your life? The most important thing. What is the most important thing? Or let me ask you like this. What should be the most important thing in your life? This is why we're doing this series called No Matter What, because over the next 5 weeks, here's what we're going to do. We're going to look at the most important things, the top values and principles of our church. These things that should be non-negotiables for the church and those of us who claim to be followers of Jesus. And if you're sitting here right now and you're going, boring, you don't get it, okay? You don't get it, because values drive behavior. Values drive behavior. When you experience something like I experienced last night in the car, it changes your behavior, because what you value will ultimately determine how you behave. And we want to talk a little bit as a church as we jump into 2020, and we're excited. And all, I mean, you've got all these kind of goals. I know you're going to do this year, and you're going to read more, and you're going to get fit, and you're going to do, I mean, you've got the list, but let's just be honest. Most of us are going to fall away from that somewhere, like probably just next week, okay? Because you're not going to make it very far. Like, all of us have those things. What keeps you moving in the right direction is what you value. These are the most important things. These are the non-negotiables. This is what's going to drive what we do. And as a church, it makes perfect sense for us to go, what are we going to do this year? What does 2020 hold for us? And that's what we're going to be talking about over the next 5 weeks, these things that for us should be at the forefront. If you look at the definition of behavior, it says this: the way in which one acts or conducts oneself, and look at this, especially towards others. Especially towards others. Especially towards others. And so I'll just say this about our church. I love our church. We got so many great things that are going, and 2019 was an incredible year, but hear me, I think we can do better. I think we can do better. I think there's more, and here's why. Here's why. Because once upon a time, there was a version of our faith that there was a whole lot of people thought it was worth living for and also dying for. The church behaved in such a way 2,000 years ago that people who wanted nothing to do with God found his church to be irresistible. They couldn't ignore it. And millions of people decided to jump in and be a part of it. The church, under extreme and painful conditions 2,000 years ago, not only survived, it actually thrived. It grew. And I would argue that the early church, the first church that we read about in the book of Acts, was probably the most purest and most powerful version of Christianity the world has ever seen. And just think about this for a moment. They didn't have a Bible. They didn't have a church facilities. They weren't able to leverage technology. What they had was a relentless focus on the resurrection of Jesus along with the leadership of the Holy Spirit. That's all they had. That's all they had. And that's all they needed. That's it. And it was the core focus of their life, and their faith influenced the world in a really profound way. And so this year, here's what I want to commit to, and here's what I want you to be committed to. All right, the first of a couple of weeks of commitments I want us to make together as a church. Here's the first one: that no matter what, here's what I want us to do. No matter what this year, I want us to embrace that same version of faith in Jesus that the church 2,000 years ago lived out. Let's fight to get back to the most purest and most real form of what we call Christianity. And if we're going to do that, then you're going to ask a question. What did the early church value? What did they hold in such high esteem that made their faith so irresistible to a hostile world? What was it? And here's what I think it was. They knew, and this is what we're going to be reminded about today. They knew that relentlessly pursuing a daily relationship with Jesus changes everything. Changes everything. Changed my night last night. When you pursue Jesus, when you give it everything that you have, it changes everything. In the early church 2,000 years ago, this is all they had, was a pursuit of Jesus, and it changed the world. And I think it still has the power to change the hearts and minds of people who live right here in the Tri-Towns. If you want to experience something different or see something change in an area of your life, if you're getting into 2020 and you go, this year's going to be different, this year I'm going to do this, and this year I'm going to step it up in my work or in my leadership in my home as a father or a husband or a mom or wherever you're at, but this is going to be different. If you want to see something change in 2020, then it starts right here. It starts right here. It starts with making a decision to allow Jesus to be the biggest and the first thing in your life. This is where you start. And I just think there's a big trap here. There's a big trap for all of us in light of where we live and how much we have, and we have more than what we need. There is a big trap for all of us to take Jesus out of the main thing and just bring him along like a side dish. And we got to be really careful. I was talking to a missionary from Kenya a couple of months ago who was here visiting with us. And I said, hey, do you experience any kind of spiritual warfare when you're on the ground in Kenya? And she started sharing stories with me that I'm like, oh my gosh, that's pretty crazy. And I go, what's the difference between Kenya and here? Do do you see spiritual warfare here? And she said something to me that has stuck with me. She goes, you know what, I don't see the same thing when it comes to spiritual warfare. In fact, I think it's more relaxed here in the States than it is at Kenya. It just seems to me, here's what she said, it just seems to me that people are too busy. Ugh. There's too many other things that are going on. But when you're on the ground in Kenya and you don't have all of these things and you're working with some of the poorest people in the world, all you have is Jesus. All you have is the story of Jesus that we call the gospel. All you have is the Holy Spirit who lives inside of you to keep allowing Jesus to do for you what you couldn't do for anybody else, to live through you. That's where your power is. That's where your source is. So, of course, you're going to spend more time with the Father because you need Him. You need Him to keep showing up and doing what only He can do. C.S. Lewis, he says it like this. I came across this quote this week. I love it. He goes, put first things first and second things are thrown in. Put second things first and you lose first and second things. If you don't keep first things first and you allow second things to become first, then not only do you lose the second, but you also lose the first. And confession time for me, and maybe confession time for you, I'm not sure that every single day of 2019, Jesus was first in my life. I wish it would be true for me and for you, but if we're going to be honest, for most of us, we probably had more days where Jesus wasn't first than He was. And I'm wondering for 2020, what would happen if a group of people say, you know what, we're going to relentlessly pursue Jesus for everything we have because He should be at the forefront. And if we value that, it'll continue to change our behavior that will become irresistible to people who don't know Jesus. So if you have your Bibles, turn to John chapter 15. I'm going to be there. This is we're going to look at the seventh and the last I am statements. If you've grown up in church, you've heard those before. These I am statements that Jesus will give through the Gospel of John. This is the last one in John 15. And again, if you've grown up in church, you know the story. But hear it, be refreshed by it, be encouraged and challenged. Here's what it says. John 15, starting in verse 1. Jesus goes, I am the true vine, and my Father is the gardener. He cuts off every branch in me that bears no fruit, and while every branch that does bear fruit, He prunes so that it'll be even more fruitful. And you are already clean because of the word I have spoken to you. Verse 4, so remain in me as I also remain in you. No branch can bear fruit by itself. It must remain in the vine, and neither can you bear fruit unless you remain in me. And so the cultivation of vineyards was important to the life and economy of Israel. And so when Jesus is using this image of a vine and branches, he wasn't introducing something new. In fact, a lot of His listeners would understand and jump right in and go, yeah, I get it, because they know that wine comes from what? You act like you haven't drank wine before. Okay, so wine comes from grapes, right? Okay, good. Not only do our kids go back to school tomorrow, but you need to go back to school. All right, so wine comes from grapes that are produced from grapevines. And so if left untrimmed, this is interesting, if left untrimmed, a grapevine will begin to grow these long kind of woody branches to extend its territory while producing fewer grapes. It's interesting. If left unattended, the vine is more interested in taking more ground than it is in producing fruit. So winemakers learned early on that grapevines could be tamed by pruning of branches so that few buds would be allowed to grow. So when this trimming was done, the vine was forced not to get more territory, but instead to direct its energy in the production of grapes, which is why it's there. So under good conditions of both sufficient rain and plenty of sunshine, this resulted in more grapes and an abundance of grape juice for wine production. And so you see Jesus here in John chapter 15. He's using this analogy. He's such a great teacher. He's just bringing people in, going, let me tell you how this works, my relationship with you and your relationship with me. He goes, you guys have drank wine before? They go, yeah, we've drank wine. He goes, it's like this. You know that those who own the vineyards, you know they prune. And the reason why they prune is because they want more grapes. That's what they're in business for, to be able to produce more wine. And so the lesson just right here in verses 1 through 3, Jesus says, look, when you're left to your own tendencies, you tend to focus on the wrong things, just like a vine. If left unpruned, untrimmed, you focus on the wrong things in your life, like working to achieve things that don't produce the best results. If you are unconnected and you're just going to do whatever you want to do in your life, you're going to end up at a place that will not produce the results that you want, although there's a trap there because you think it will. But it won't. And so the teaching's pretty straightforward. Jesus goes, I'm the vine, and then you and me, we are the branches. And when a branch is disconnected from the vine, it dries up and it stops producing the best thing, which is fruit. And many of the images that Jesus will use with his followers throughout the scriptures, this idea of this relationship here, he's using a vine and branches, but he also uses the idea of the body and the parts of the body. He talks about this idea of a bride and a bridegroom. He also talks about a shepherd and the sheep, and all of this. It's just the same idea. The arm, if it's detached from your body, is no good. Jesus goes, this marriage creates this union, but it takes daily love and devotion to maintain it. The shepherd brings the sheep into the flock, but the sheep must follow the shepherd for protection and provision. And here Jesus kind of goes in the same way. You got to put things first things first, by relentlessly pursuing a daily connection with Jesus, because without that connection, our faith will produce no fruit. You'll just be wasting your time, gaining more territory, wasting more days of your year. And so the key word in John chapter 15, we already read it. The word there is remain, but the actual Greek word is abide. Remain or abide. It's used 11 times in John chapter 15, verses 1 through 11. The Greek word there carries this idea of dwelling or living or making a home. Make a home. Dwell here. Be here. The idea of being continually and relationally connected with Jesus, and it's a two-way relationship. Jesus goes, look, if you remain in me, if you abide in me, and I will abide in you. And what he's saying is, be at home with me, and I will be at home with you. And this is just, again, my perception, just as my opinion. Yours can be different, but it would seem to me that our modern version of faith is very different than those of the early church 2,000 years ago, and so are the results. And I think the reason why is because our idea of abiding isn't what they thought it was 2,000 years ago. Our idea of abiding is more of a recharge idea rather than a direct connection, this being at home with Jesus. Instead, we have this kind of wireless version. Think about it like this. My kids this past Christmas, they got a Nintendo Switch. It's all video games in my house right now, okay? And so they got a Nintendo Switch, and with the Nintendo Switch, if you've got one, you know this, but those chargers have to recharge. So there's a charging station. So my kids get up and they get the controller, they take it off of it, and then they start playing. And then when they're done, they put it back on. Why? Because it has to recharge. And so the next time they play, they want to have a controller that works. And we have we've got so many things in our life that are like this. We recharge. We use it. It's wireless. And then when the battery's dead, we recharge it again. And then ultimately, when the battery dies, we throw it away. We get a new battery that we can use to recharge so we can keep using our products. And it's very convenient and it's efficient. And usually it is very effective. However, if you approach a relationship with Jesus like a rechargeable battery, coming to church services and jumping into a small group, again, operating as if you're coming to recharge, Jesus says that eventually you will die like a branch. That is not the idea of this relationship that he has for us. And the secret to this irresistible faith lies in understanding how to stay plugged into, not wireless charging, but to stay plugged into Jesus as opposed to operating as a rechargeable battery. That's what it means to abide. to be with, not just for a portion of your day or for an hour on Sunday morning, but literally to be connected with him at all times. That's what it means to abide, to get rid of your independent, self-reliant kind of Christian life and to learn to live totally dependent upon Jesus and to allow him to express himself to the world through you and how you behave. The goal in your relationship with Jesus is not to achieve, it's not to take ground. It's to abide. We're called to abide, not to achieve. We are called to abide. And when we abide, we trust God and we allow him to continue to do his work in and through our life. And this is tough for us to do because guess what? We don't live in Kenya, do we? We live in abundance and we have more than what we need. We live in a culture that is very achievement driven. We take more ground. We do it better. We do more. And I know this to be true because I look even how I parent and how you parent. This is the way that we parent with our kids even before they're born, aren't we? Now we put headphones on the belly of our pregnant wives, right? Trying to teach our baby to appreciate music. And as soon as the baby can eat Cheerios, we count to them in Spanish because we want them to learn 2 different languages. By the time the baby is 6, he or she gets a tutor. By 8, they have specialized in a sport, and they have a former pro athlete for a trainer that you're leveraging all your finances for, right? And again, hear me out. These are not bad things. Listen, they're not bad things. I'm just arguing this morning they can't be the thing. They're not bad things in and of themselves. They just can't become the thing. And here's the thing, parents, is a good reminder for me and to you. In light of the message, parents, you better make darn sure, and I could use a different word there, but I'm not, okay? But you better make darn sure that your child knows that you're not only proud of them when they achieve something. Don't fall into the trap that you're only proud of your kids when they achieve something, or they get the straight A's, or they scored the goal, or they have accomplished some great feat. When you can be proud of them, but you better make sure that's not the only time that you're proud of them. Because your child needs to know that you love them, and the most important thing in your life is not what they do, but the most important thing in your life is that you get to be close to them. I've been trying to parent in such a way over the last 14 years. My oldest turns 14 on Tuesday. You pray for me, all right? For 14 years, I've been trying to parent in such a way to continually to remind my kids that as their dad, I want to be close to them. It brings joy to me to be close, hopefully so that when they get a little bit older, they would want to be close to me. This closeness, this idea of being in the presence of one another should be the best way that we could communicate our love to each other. Again, the goal is not to achieve, but to abide. I think one of the greatest goals of your parenting is not that your kids get to the school and they get a degree and a master's degree and they're biochemists and they create more video games for me to play someday, which is all good, okay? But listen, what if the greatest goal in your parenting is that there's a day coming that your kid actually wants to be with you? Nobody's more excited to come back during the holidays to be with you than your kids. Why? Because they know nothing brings you more excitement and joy and love than to be with them. The goal is not to achieve. The goal is to abide. And as I abide in Jesus, I'm a better father. As I abide in Jesus, I'm a better husband. As I abide in Jesus, I'm a better leader. John keeps going. Verse 5, again, this is Jesus talking. He goes, listen, I am the vine. You guys are the branches, and if you remain in me and I in you, you will bear much fruit. But apart from me, you can do nothing. And if you do not remain in me, you are like a branch that is thrown away and withers. Such branches are picked up, thrown into the fire, and burned. They're no good. And if you remain in me and my words remain in you, ask whatever you wish, and it'll be done for you. And then verse 8, this is my Father's glory, that you bear much fruit, showing yourselves to be my disciples. Here's the reminder for us as a church this morning. Here's a reminder from me, and hopefully a reminder for you. Independence was Adam's original sin. It's what got him in trouble. He had everything. He had the perfect life, hanging out in the garden in the presence of God, and he said to God, I'll do it my way. I'll do it my way. I don't like your way. I'm going to do it my way because I think my way is going to be better. I like being in control of my life. And after Adam made that choice, his life went out of control. God is not a fan of independence because he wants to express his life through you to the world. And when you and I do it on our own, it leads to just like a dead branch. So here's the game plan. Here's what Jesus came up with. Jesus goes, listen, I'm going to be the one vine. There's only one vine, it's going to be me. I'm going to be the one vine, and then there's going to be millions of branches. These are the followers of Jesus, and I want these branches to produce. I want them to bear lots of fruit. So the whole design and the reason that we are not the vine, but instead what we've been called to is to be utterly dependent upon the vine, being attached to it so that it is able to do things through us that we couldn't do on our own. And then through all of that, we do that so that we can give glory to God, not to ourselves. We stay attached. We allow the power of God to be in and working through us. And then when God does use us, when we are doing things and behaving in such a way, and people go, man, what is that? I like that. And we go, it's not me. This is God. This is God in me because I believe I'm a follower of Jesus, that being connected to the Father is the best. In fact, it's the most important thing in my life. That's why I do this and I go here. And I think about these things because it's all about God. And Jesus actually talks about what's actually flowing in between the vine and the branch. Look at this. This is like your money-back guarantee. This is great. Why wouldn't you do these things? Look at this. If you stay attached to the vine, Jesus says this, John 15, verse 7. First, he goes, if you remain in me and my words remain in you, ask whatever you wish, and it will be done for you. If you want my words to be in your heart and your mind, then you stay attached to me and they'll be in you. John 15:9, as the Father has loved me, so have I loved you. Now remain in my love. So love is flowing in between this connection. Verse 11, I have told you this so that my joy may be in you and that your joy may be complete. So if you want my words and if you want my love and if you want my joy, stay connected to me. Why would you not spend more time with Jesus? Could any of you use a little more joy in 2020? Any of you could use a little more love or encouragement to love people that are almost unlovable? Any of you could use some prophetic words over your life of reminding you your worth and your value and encouraging you to do the right thing? Listen, I need all three, and Jesus goes, you can have it. If you would choose to stay connected to me. You can get all the words, you can get all the love, and you can experience all the joy, but you have to fight. Taking me out of first and putting me in the second. You have to fight. Not to go and think that you can do it all on your own because you're better off by yourself. Jesus goes, no, you're not better off by yourself. You're just like a branch. And if you are disconnected from the vine, you will wither and you will die. Stay connected. Remain. Abide. You get his words, you get his love, and you get his joy. And so, listen, let 2020, here's my goal this year. Let 2020 be the year that you spend more time, not less time, more time with Jesus than any other year in your life. I know you've got all these crazy things, and I want to do better at this, and listen, I hear you, but you start here. This is where you start. Father, I'm going to abide in you more. I'm going to remain in you more. What does that mean? Okay, this is where it gets a little bit churchy, but we all got to grow up this morning, okay? Did I really come to church? And the pastor's going to tell me I got to read my Bible and pray and come to the church gatherings a little bit more? Yes. Yes. I do. Because if you're going to remain, if you're going to abide in the presence of Jesus, why would you not want to be where he is? And I hear you, he is with you wherever you go. But isn't there something really cool that happens when the church gathers together? Isn't there something really cool that happens when you read your Bible? Isn't there something cool when you sit in your car at 8 o'clock at night and you say to your kids, we should pray? What does it do? It changes your behavior. When you value Jesus as the top spot in your life, he begins to do things in and through you that you wouldn't do on your own. Matt, how do you know that to be true? John 15. How do you know that to be true? Go talk to anybody who has ruined their life. What'd you do? Here's what they did. They tried to do it all by themselves. Jesus goes, I got something way better. If you would just choose to stay connected with me, if you would live with me, if you would be at home with me, I'll be at home with you, and I'll give you all the words and all the joy and all the love. Friends, why would you not take that? And yet we'll go through our week, and I'm just too busy. I don't have time. I've got this, and I've got that. And listen, we're not too busy. If you're looking for something different in your life, it starts with abiding in Him. Well, I don't have a Bible. Well, get a freaking Bible. Steal one on the way out. Steal somebody's in here. Just grab it and walk out, all right? Get a Bible. Well, I don't know where to start reading. Start in the book of John. I don't know where that is. In the beginning of the Bible, there's a contents page. Just find it. John. Go there. Just start reading. Something will happen, I promise you, because listen, when you value Jesus above all else, it begins to change your behavior. Try it. Well, I don't know what to pray. Just sit in silence for a minute and see what happens. Fight to be here every single Sunday and watch what happens. Things will begin to change. You want to be a better father? I do. You want to be a better husband? I do. You want to be a better leader? I do. You want to be better in any area of your life? It starts with being connected to the one that has the power and is willing and wanting to change you to become more like Him. Then he says this, John chapter 15 and verse 12, and here's a challenge for our church. This is what changed the world 2,000 years ago. Here's what he says. This is how your behavior will change. Here's the most important thing. Look at this, verse 12. My command is this. Love each other as I have loved you. Love each other as I have loved you. You know what the world is hungry for? Love. You know what your family member who is far from God is hungry for? Love. Husbands, you know what your wives are hungry for? Love. Parents, you know your kids are desperately wanting from you? Love. Church family, you know what our community desires from us? They don't even know it? Love. Love. What changed the world 2,000 years ago was a group of people who called themselves followers of Jesus, followers of the way. The way. And they kept Jesus at the forefront. He was the most important thing in their life, and it changed the way they behaved. Millions of followers of Jesus being led to their death, with countless historians going, and while they went, they worshiped Jesus, proclaiming His name. They loved people who were killing them. They loved people that you and I would consider to be unlovable, and it changed the world. But friends, how could they ever do that? Here's how. Because Jesus was the most important thing. You want a good New Year's resolution? Fight for more time with the Father. It'll change you. It'll change your relationships. And it'll change it for the good. Here's what I want for us as a church in 2020. I want us to be a church that becomes more and more irresistible to people in our community who are far from God. And you know how that can happen? A group of people that will fight to be in the presence of the Father above everything else. Because when we do that, it'll change our behavior and how we love one another and how we love people who have never stepped foot into a church building. This is the year. I'm committed to it. This is the year I spend more time with God, not less. This is the year that I spend more time with God and not less. This is the year. This is the year. This is the year. More, not less. So here's what I want to do. I'm going to pray, and then we're going to take communion here in just a sec. But before we do that, here's what I want to do, because I need this from my heart, and maybe you need this for your heart. I just want to take a minute and come before the Father this morning and go, God, my bad. Because I got some things in my life that I've been running solo on. And in 2020, I'm going to be connected to you. If you are good enough to save me, if your salvation is good enough to redeem me, then it's good enough for me every single day of my life. And I'm not going to run on my own. I'm not going to run on fumes. And I surely don't want to become a branch that dies and withers and gets thrown into the fire, because life is too short. And this year, I'm going to be refocused and renewed in my pursuit of you. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get up and spend time with you even when I don't feel like it. I'm going to get into the Word. Even when there's a million other things I could be doing and listening, I'm going to spend more time in solitude and praying to you. Even when I have 1,000 other demands on my life, because you are the most important thing. So let's do this. Let's just sit in silence for 30 seconds. And if you are like me this morning and you've got some things to confess to God, let's do it. Let's do it. Say, God, I'm renewing my pursuit of you, because I know it's going to change me. And then you will use me and my behavior to change people around me. Let's just do that for 30 seconds, then I'll pray. Father, this morning, would you forgive us where we've detached ourselves from you? And would you hear the prayers of your church this morning? It's our desire to keep you at the forefront. God, forgive us where we've fallen into the trap of the bright lights of this world, of things that are good but shouldn't be the ultimate. May this year, 2020, be the year where we give you more, not less, than last year. More time in your word, more time gathering as a church, more time praying, more time serving, more time loving, more time watching and seeing you change us from the inside out. More time watching people who are far from you, and out of how we choose to live and behave, go, I want that. I don't even know what that is, but I want that. More time receiving your words, your love, your joy, not less. May this year be the year we look at the enemy and go, not this year. Not this year. This year I'm going to fight. I'm going to relentlessly pursue more time with the Father. Hear the prayers of your church this morning. Guide us and lead us outside of this place to be bold in how we live and how we pursue, knowing that the end of our life, our relationship with you is the most important thing. Would you remind us that every single day? And we pray all of this in the name of your Son, Jesus. And the church said, amen.